This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
And welcome. You're here live with Dr. Jeff Werber, your host here for the next 30 minutes on Pet Life Radio's Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff. And we're here for you. We're here for your pets. And also a simulcast with my IG Live. And see all of you joining. Thank you so much. I'm going to wave to many as I can. Boy, it's coming fast. Love this. Absolutely love it. So anyway, you want to get a hold of me, please. Very easy to do. Number one, phone number, the old-fashioned way, toll free, of course, 877-385-8882. Once again, 877-385-8882. Or you can join me here live. Go to PetLifeRadio.com, click on shows, scroll to Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff, and just click on the Zoom link. Or, of course, here on Instagram. You can just follow me. Any questions you want, please. Now's the time to ask them. There was a good one that someone sent me last week. I asked them to do it on Instagram or on Pet Life Radio, and it was a good thing to talk about. And of course, I forgot the question, but I'll think about it. So glad to see you all here on this lovely Sunday morning. So a couple of things I want to announce. First of all, starting July 29th, what you want to do is if you go to my Instagram on my bio, you're going to see a link. All right. And you're going to click on this thing. It's the last thing on the few things on the bio list. Okay. And it's a link to the Allergy Summit. I did a pet summit and I did a whole thing on allergies. It's great. You should join in. And I think the first, I don't know how many, but the first registrants are going to be free. And anyway, it's just great. They're going to be, I don't know, I think a dozen or more speakers on allergy that's starting actually on the 26th tomorrow with a on Tuesday, with a senior summit on pet aging and things like that. And then I'm going to be on the 29th through the 3rd. Once again, the 29th through August 3rd. And that's going to be all about pet allergies. And there's a great group of speakers that are basically all going to talk about our pets' allergies, how to handle them, how we can help our pets during their allergy breakouts, and see, it's going to be a great summit. So anyway, I'd like you to join. And another thing just to talk about, which is, you know how I get crazy when everyone says something about is the best. There's no such thing as the best. Because the best for one person may not be the best for the other person. With me being a veterinarian, I guess only my family used to think I was the best. Then sometimes my clients might say, okay, you got to go see Jeff. He's the best. But anyway, this just came out. I just found out last week. I had to brag a little bit. So this is Angelino is a magazine. All right. This is Paris Hilton on the cover. It's a magazine. It's kind of like a Los Angeles magazine. They say maybe it's a little higher end. Who knows? Who cares? But anyway, they had a series of the best of Los Angeles and so many categories. It's like 15 pages of the best. I mean, the best everything. But anyway, in travel, I look at the last page. It's the last page, of course. They had travel. They had a bunch of hotels, the best staycation, the best hotel rooftop, best hotel lobby. I mean, it's crazy. Anyway, pets. I was intrigued. I'm going to look at let's hear the pets. And they had the best overnight care in Central Los Angeles, best overnight daycare in West Los Angeles, best pet store, best pet accessories, and then the best vet. Now, this I have to show you. I have to brag a little bit, but the best vet, if you can see it right there, I don't know if you can see Dr. Jeff Werber. So somebody else. Now, it's affirmed. I must be the best. No, there's no such thing as the best. But it is nice that somebody thought I was, and they happened to be an editor or the contributor to this magazine article. But anyway, it was kind of fun. So for those of you who are seeing me, just so you know, at least according to my family, some of my clients, and now Angelino Magazine, you're going to the best vet in LA. So I'll give you a little comfort there. So couple of things. So this came out. There were a couple of articles about this, and it was really because of things with, a lot of fires. This time of year, we get a lot of fires. The heat, it's very dry here in the LA area, and it's very hot. So they were talking about smoke inhalation. So burns and smoke inhalation, listen to this, may cause clotting risks in cats. So those that are burned or exposed to smoke were now more likely to form clots, which would develop heart disease, right, than those that weren't exposed. So percentage-wise, there's something about the burn or the smoke inhalation that is increasing the formation of clots, which then can be very, very detrimental. And the research found there must be a receptor on the platelets, all right, that might have a role in clotting. So when these link onto the receptor, that induces a clot, almost like an injury, like when you cut yourself. So for some reason, even though there's no outward injury, just the smoke inhalation or the burn is attacking those receptors, and therefore the blood starts to clot, where you don't want it to clot. So just an FYI. So very important. Then speaking of fires and burns, just understand that in a home, pets can easily start fires. For example, cats. I go crazy when I walk in a home and there's a candle burning and nobody's around, but I see a cat walking around, because cats are awfully intrigued by flame because it's flickering and it's moving. And cats, as you know, they're hunters and they like to tap and they touch. Well, they can knock a candle over and that could be disastrous. Dogs like to chew. Bunnies like to chew. If they chew on electrical wire and it gets that spark, besides that, they're going to get quite the shock. But you get that spark, that can actually attack something nearby, carpeting, paper, something. And anyway, that also could be a big problem. So obviously be very, very careful. It's all about prevention. Prevention is the key to almost any problem if you can prevent. So keep a close watch on your pets. And also make sure that you have some signage. If you have to call the fire department, let them know how many pets you have inside. And also what a lot of people recommend, and you can get these stickers from a fire department that you can put on a window that's right by a front door or on the door itself, that talks about, that actually will let them know how many and what kind of pets you have in the house. So if, heaven forbid, you're not home, they have to break in the house, they know to look for your pets as well. So that's really, really important. Now, talking about heat and burns, how about summer heat? One thing you want to think about also are two things: booties and cooling vests. They're out there, and especially because of pavement stays very, very hot. And I say it all the time. If it's too hot for you to walk barefoot, think about this. People, you go to the sand at the beach. Those of you who have beaches, you know how like in the middle of it gets really hot, that you're running from, towel to towel, and that sand is hot, and it starts burning the bottoms of your feet, and you start running, right? It's no different for your dogs. So you have to understand that if you're going to take them on a beach and they're going to run, either run down by the water, all right, or put some booties on or a little protection. If it's too hot for you, it's probably too hot for your dog's pads as well. And also understand that these dogs are dogs that are at risk of heat prostration, of overheating, and to a point of being dangerous. Our short-faced breeds are at greater risk. So your Frenchies, which I had no, English Bulldogs, Shih Tzus and Lhasas and Pugs and Boston Terriers. You could see it in their face, Japanese chins. All the dogs with that little Persian cats, when they have that pushed in face, their breathing is not like, it's, and then they start literally, the more difficulty they have, the more they try to breathe. And that's where the problem lies. It becomes a huge issue. So anyway, keep that in mind with the summer heat. All right. So anyway, and here you two on our good Pet Life Radio, you have free advice. Now's the time. Pick my brain. But what's left of it anyway. So I want to answer your question. So this was really a cool story. Okay. And I liked it a lot. There's a connection between dogs, a neurologic connection between dogs' eyes and their nose. So that we call signaling pathways that exist in a dog's brains. So it's between the olfactory, which is the smelling, and the occipital lobe, which is for sight. And what does this mean? So many of you have probably had, or maybe when dogs get older and they lose their sight. And yet you could swear that they're going after something with direction. They're actually going after it, but they can't see what's happening. So as we know, dogs' noses are amazing. Their sense of smell, they say we have about 5 million olfactory nerves, smelling nerves in our noses. The regular average dog, not even getting to the hounds, but the regular average dog have 250 million, maybe even more. When, as with any person, any animal, when they lose one of their senses, their other senses seem to sharpen because they rely on them more. So they already have amazing senses of smell and direction of smell. So what's happening is when they lose their vision, their sense of smell takes over, and then their movement towards an object, it's as if they can see it. And so it's really crazy. Blind dogs can actually navigate their surroundings. Okay, let's see what else got next here. Ooh, this is good. I'm sure you're going to love to hear it. I kind of like to hear it. Not that I want anybody getting in really bad trouble, but it sends a message. So there was a concert in Massachusetts, just outside Boston. I'm not a Fish fan, though I do like salmon and I'm just kidding. So Fish it's a musical group, PH, I think, FISH or whatever it is. Anyway, or PFI, I don't even know, but it's a musical group. Anyway, they were having a concert in Boston and some people brought their dogs in their cars, went into the concert and left no ventilation, no open windows, nada. They figured, well, it was the evening time. It wasn't that hot. It's hot. When you're back east during the summer, it's hot and it's muggy and it stays hot. It can be still 80 degrees. P.S. Someone called the police. They broke through the windows they picked the locks. They got the dogs out of the car and they more than fined. They arrested in a sense. They have an arraignment in a couple of weeks. And so if you're going to leave, well, first of all, I shouldn't say don't leave your pets in a parked car. That's not a good thing to do. But if for whatever reason, and I shouldn't even tell you what you should do, but water, ventilation, leave the air conditioner on, something. In fact, it's so interesting that I found it out. I didn't know about this because I was giving a little hell to a friend of mine who I pulled up to the office in my car. I'm parked next to him and it's a Tesla and the windows are all the way closed and the dog's inside. So I go in and say, what are you doing? He goes, no, Tesla has a pet mode where when you have your pets in a car, the ventilation keeps going. It automatically maintains the temperature at whatever temperature you set it for. It could be 70 degrees, 65, whatever. So that's a pretty good feature. I still wouldn't recommend it. And if you do it, if you have a Tesla and you use that feature, make sure you put a note on the car saying, don't break my window. I have vets in there and they are in a temperature-controlled car, because that's what Tesla offers. So again, but that's pretty cool. Anyway, it's the time we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll answer some of your questions. Oh, wow, some Southeast Michigan. Love that. Talk about Parvo. We'll talk about that. Good. So we got some things to talk about. Hello, Dr. Lisa. So yes, we're going to talk about that as well. Oh, good. Some questions come by. So we're going to break. We're going to come back and we're going to answer some questions. Don't go away.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms. And our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, Stitcher, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
And hi, we're back here on Pet Life Radio's Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff. And on Instagram, we just answered some questions about a cat with FIV, feline immunodeficiency virus, meaning that it's immunodeficiency. We used to think that FELV was like the first cousin of AIDS, the HIV. Now we know that it's FIV. But as with HIV, cats with FIV, unless they're just challenged a lot, seem to do very well. There's no specific treatment for it. There's no vaccine for it. There is a vaccine for leukemia virus, but I use with caution. And again, I'm maybe a little bit controversial on this one, but in California, rabies vaccine isn't required by law for cats. So what I have found that the two vaccines that are most often implicated in feline vaccine-induced sarcoma, that is a cancer from a vaccine, at the injection site, the two most often implicated are rabies and feline leukemia virus vaccine. So if I have indoor-only cats and I don't have to give rabies by law, why am I giving vaccines for either of those two? I have 5 cats all indoors. I don't vaccinate for them. Why even add the risk if they don't need it, if they're indoor only? Oh, well, they might get out once. No, FELV is prolonged direct contact with a leukemia-positive cat. I'm talking, they're living together, they're sharing food bowls, they're grooming each other, they're using the same litter box. I mean, no, not just passing and getting a fight maybe with an FELV cat once if your cat gets out. So I'm not a fan. And that's why, just so you know, you'll notice, I'm sure, your veterinarian in giving vaccines to cats now no longer give it up in the shoulders or the trunk. They give it in the thigh, usually one of the hind thighs. And do you know why? Do you know why it's changed? Because if your cat develops that feline vaccine-induced sarcoma, you know what you can do to save its life? Amputate the leg. So when you think about it, really, you want to even risk that if you don't have to? So yeah, I'm all for vaccines, but I'm not for vaccines, unnecessary vaccines. It's like giving your rattlesnake vaccine to a dog who lives on the Wilshire corridor on the 31st floor and their feet never touch the ground. All right, I'm not giving a rattlesnake vaccine. I'm not giving Lyme because we don't really have Lyme out here. So now, if a cat or a dog is going back east for the summer, yes, I'm going to recommend Lyme. So it all, many vaccines are lifestyle. We have our core vaccines, but the rest are lifestyle. Talk to your veterinarian, but I'm not one that is an advocate of vaccinating just for the sake of vaccine. Now, speaking of diseases and vaccine, Deb, a former client, not because she doesn't love me anymore, I hope. She moved out of LA. Anyway, talk about parvovirus. If your dog's taken care of, if a dog you're taking care of, hers diagnosed, I say is diagnosed, how do you clean up to make the others safe? All right. So first of all, there's a lot of arguing and commenting about how long does a parvo survivor shed parvo? Okay. So I can only tell you this from personal experience. I had one of my third Labrador actually had parvo as a pup. I had a Labrador already. So he was hospitalized. This was back in school when I was at UC Davis. He survived, went on to live a great life, by the way. But I brought him home. My other dog was vaccinated, so I wasn't worried and never had a problem. They say they can stay in the environment for up to 6 months. So what you can do is obviously disinfect as best you can. They say you could take a very dilute bleach. I mean dilute, 1 part to, I've heard 16 parts, I've heard 32 parts of water to bleach. So obviously a lot of water, a little bit of bleach, and spray down, wipe down. Obviously it's not something that might, you check for color fast because you don't want to get all of a sudden the bleach from the bleach on your nice fabrics or your carpeting. Products are out there that we say 99.9% like a Lysol, antiviral. So just do thorough cleaning. If you're going to have your parvo survivor mingling with other dogs, just make sure the other dogs are well vaccinated. But once your dog is fine, I would say if you want to be safe, kind of keep them separate for about maybe 6 weeks. Let's put it this way. I know what the academics say, and there's a difference between academic medicine and practical medicine. I am not an academician. I do not practice academic medicine. I practice practical medicine. And I have yet to have parvo from a known parvo survivor, right? Give it to another dog in the same home or friends after 6 weeks. So, again, yes, the virus could live, they say, but how effective is it? It's the same argument we get with, vaccine and antibody. I argue I just got my antibody test tighter on COVID. Now, I've had 2 vaccines. I had a booster, and I've been exposed to it many times since. I don't get it. I know I have a pretty decent immune system. So I said, you know what? I'm going to get it tighter. And the range of this particular lab the index was 1. If you're greater than 1, you still have protection. Less than 1, you probably should get another booster. I was not greater than 1. I was greater than 100. So I'm not worried for me. And that could explain why I haven't been sick, even though I know I've been with people that call me the next day. Oh, by the way, Jeff, I have to let you know, I just tested positive for COVID. So, that's how I feel. So those that argue with me say, well, yeah, you might have a lot of antibody, but the question is, are they protective? And I get, I don't know. But guess what? I don't care because I'm not getting sick. So obviously whatever I have is working. I feel the same way about parvo. Yes, they can do the academic testing and see that it's still in the environment. The question is, are they still infective viruses? And that we don't know. But I'll tell you practically, from my experience, I think you'll be good, Deb. You want to be separated for about 4 to 6 weeks. Make sure they're still good. Test again for parvo. Once parvo is out of their system, I think you're going to be good. We talked about this a little bit either last week or the week before. But the reason I'm concerned about this is I have a neighbor and they know it's a problem and they're cleaning up, but they have these mushrooms that I'm telling you, I can walk my dogs one day and see a bunch of these wild mushrooms. They know it. They're both husband and wife are both dentists. So they're medical people. They pick them because they have dogs too. And literally 2 days later, their mushrooms are back. It is unbelievable how fast these things grow. Anyway, most of these wild mushrooms, I'm not an expert. Many of these wild mushrooms are highly toxic. There was a story years ago about a family visiting here from Asia, and they were doing some hiking in the mountains, a husband, wife, and 2 kids, and they found them all dead with remnants of mushroom. They did not know that wild mushrooms here in the States may be different than wild mushrooms there. Whatever they were, they should not have eaten them. All of them, all the 4 of them, dead. So this was a 7-month-old spaniel in South Carolina, died from the toxic effects of eating poisonous mushrooms. So again, if you're hiking, if you're out there and you see a mushroom that you did not buy in a store shelf, I don't care if it looks like the best mushroom around and it's very appetizing, do not, I repeat, do not eat it or give it to your pets, because we don't know. And I know there, a client of mine wants to show me a chart of non-poisonous mushrooms and poisonous mushrooms. And let me tell you something. From the naked eye, some of them, I could not tell them apart. Now, these experts, they probably know what to look for, and they can pick up little minor differences, but how insane. They look so similar. So much so that I'm kind of scared to go out and have my mushroom pizza now, because, you just don't know. You see them in the shelf. They all look, whatever, little buttonhole mushrooms. We got the fancy ones, Sarmini or mushrooms. There's a lot of different types out there. Portobello mushrooms, those I like. But if you don't know, if you're not a mushroom enthusiast, then don't eat mushrooms. So there's ones called the Amanita and the Gallerina mushrooms. The one that I talked about a couple of weeks ago, I even had the word death in it. I think right there should be a clue. You might want to avoid that one. But these, what they call is liver failure. And so the recommendation is that we should, of course, avoid all wild mushrooms. I kind of like that recommendation. I don't have to be the best to say, something. Don't eat the wild mushrooms, and don't let your dogs eat them either. All right. So that's all we have time for, unless we have any more questions for me. Otherwise, we'll see you here next week, same time, same channel, here on Pet Life Radio's Ask the Vets with Dr. Jeff at 9 in the West, noon in the East, and anywhere in between. And then, of course, here on Instagram Live. And then 2 weeks from now, we will be off the air, but back on the following week after that. So again, thanks for joining me. Those of you who have any kind of questions, please don't hesitate to send them to me on my Instagram or on Pet Life Radio. It's very easy. Dr. Jeff at PetLifeRadio.com. On Instagram, you go into Werbs_DVM, Werbs being my nickname, but you can also just find me just by punching in Dr. Jeff Werber. And again, the Allergy Summit, you want to go onto my bio on Instagram. So click on my bio, and then in the lower line, you'll see a link there. And on the 29th through August 3rd, you can register. I think mine might be on the 29th, my talk. So you want to go on, listen to it, but the lineup of veterinarians, very impressive. So you'll learn a lot about allergy, and as I said, how to treat, how to prevent, etc., and just how to understand them more. So anyway, I encourage you to join me on the 29th on the Canine Allergy Summit. And again, the link is there in my bio on Instagram. All right. Other than that, send me questions. Love to hear from you. And we'll have a great week, everybody. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Let's Talk Pets every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.